Well, hello, my baby gorillas! And was I right, or was I right again? What have we got? Oh, insert dollar amount. Where is that? Give us your dollars. What's that? What's going on here? Insert ad. What is it? Aye, insert ad. Insert ad. I don't know, let me just check if this is being commercialised just now. Make some money out of this, as little as it is. Tiny. I don't even know if you can do super chats on this, but don't do super chats. Just send it to the PayPal that's in the description. Let me just make sure we're all hearing this. Oh, this is a cracker, this one, isn't it? All right, again, Dave. Let me just make sure we're all on side here and we're all hearing this loud and clearly. Well, what's going on? What's going on? Can't even think about this. So I think YouTube are actually deleting some of my subscribers. Again, Dave. Whoa, here we go. We're all loud and clear, loud and clear. So, what are we doing here? A lot of people ask me certain questions in my life. Some people ask me, are you a pilf? Oh, sorry, a filth, not a pilf. A filth. Which is a father, I'd like to, and I'm not, because I'm not a father. You know, well know what a MILF is. It's like the male version of that. They ask me other questions. Why are you so good looking, Dave? It's just genetics, I keep telling them. But what the most of all people ask me is, why are you so brilliant at predicting political events? And that's because there always was in your school, if you think about this, in your school, there was a wee guy who knew the accelerator limits of a car and how the car functioned, and he's only 8, and he knows the traction, and he knows the wheel pressure, and he knows everything about cars. Well, I, unfortunately for me, am the version of that except in politics. Why are you the most sought after political commentator on YouTube? Because I'm brilliant. I'm absolutely brilliant. I don't tell you the news. I tell you what's going to happen before it even happens. I am like the political oracle of what is going to happen. I told you when Theresa May was going to resign. Told you it was Bojo was going to resign. Do we want to look back and have a wee look at what I said? Your channel, let's go onto your channel and just prove that I'm not just full of smoke and mirrors, shall we? If you just go on to the videos and look down the videos. Oh, where are we? Where are we? How far back was this? Oh my goodness. So I think it's further up. Lorna Slater. So they're going to take down this broadcast because the Greens are a communist party, and they're going to take down that podcast because the lunatics have taken over the asylum, didn't like me using it as fair use. Want to remove the full podcast. So if you've not seen the Scottish Green Communist Party manifesto, have a look at that. There's 2, so have a look at both of them. So there we go, there we go. So I got it 6 months ago. 6 months ago. Before any other political commentator was saying it. I said it in December. I was wrong and Boris will be gone. 6 months ago. So I don't just say I'm a brilliant commentator and not back it up with facts. Facts are facts. I was wrong and Boris will be gone. And I said it 6 months ago. So I was 6 months up in the lead up onto this situation that we find ourselves today. And then I said Boris was going to have to resign yesterday. Before he actually resigned, and he resigned. I mean, how brilliant am I? On a scale of 1 to 10 of brilliance, I am probably 11.5. What are you guys saying? You will be there on the 23rd, Glasgow, David. What's on the 23rd, boss? Will be there on the 23rd in Glasgow. 23rd of what, July? See when you're writing comments to me, try and make them as precise as possible, because obviously I'm not sure what connotations they are and what context they are to know whether I'm going to be there. Obviously, if it's something worthwhile, I'll try and report on it, but yeah, quite interesting. So let's look at two of my favourite YouTubers themselves. If you're not subscribed to these fellows, definitely do it. So this is why you shouldn't be voting for Priti Patel in the election as well. Let's hear Maya. So Maya and my politics are nearly exactly the same, and I would definitely be in a political party with Maya as well. He's a lovely fella.
As our lying and corrupt politicians inside the Western bubble are too busy stirring apart and fighting against each other, we have actual real problems in this country. For example, what's been going on in Dover, especially over the last few days, with the small boats and migrants illegally entering this country.
So again, Boris did nothing. Boris did nothing deliberately because he's a globalist show. I think Boris was on the Dr. Evil leadership programme with open borders. That's why that we have open borders without actually having it in the Conservative Party manifesto, and why I think this is just going to be a change, a shifting of chairs in the Titanic, and the fact that we're going to get some other globalist shill in to actually represent us next after Bojo, and they won't be any better.
That the media are not talking about. These are the
why
problems,
is it all guys?
This is why this channel exists. We talked about the last couple of hours about what's going on with Starmer, what's going on with Boris. Because, you have to talk about, fix the narrative of the mainstream media, because they've been talking about it all day. But they've been distracted. They're not talking about the real crises.
No, but in Maya, they're not talking about the real crisis because they've caused it. The Conservative Party under Theresa May signed us up to the UN Compact in Marrakesh. So unless you've got a potential Conservative leader that's going to unsign to the globalist, undemocratic UN, which is another technocratic institution, which is not accountable. Why are we signed up to something that's not been voted for by the British public? So the so-called conservatives, communists now, have done this. They're wanting this. So there's no point in saying, oh, well, if I vote for a different Conservative, you have to get rid of the whole lot of them before this will change. The whole lot of them. And that's why you should vote for the UK Reform Party. The Conservatives are not worth saving anymore. The Conservatives caused these problems. This is directly... They've been doing this for 40 years.
What's been happening in Dover over the last month? Did you guys know? June?
No, because the media are covering for the globalists. The media is now like an oligopoly, and certainly the written media and also the spoken media. They are covering the globalists back. It's not an objective media, and it's now going woke, which is postmodernist Marxist, to cover again for a so-called conservative government going woke.
We just finished June. We have reached a new record high. 3,136 migrants at least illegally enter the country on 76 boats, and this is a new record in this country in the history, recent history of this new problem of small boats. This is absolutely embarrassing. Where is the BBC? Where is Sky News? Where are the politicians? I've been watching BBC Parliament to see what's going on in the chamber today, just to stay up to date. Everything's been on either Beergate or Partygate or Chris Pinchergate or Carrygate. I mean, it's all gates. I mean, we need some gates in the English channel. That was a terrible joke. Now, all this aside, why are we not talking about how total of for 2022 budget?
The reason we're not talking about it is because the Conservative Party have done it. So to actually re-elect somebody else who's just going to be a changed face on the same policies is a complete waste of time. It's the Tories that did it. the Tories are bringing in a woke agenda where they're meant to be conservatives, nothing conservative about them. And unless you've got one of the leaders saying they're going to unsign this and deport illegal immigrants, then you've got the same political agenda that will go on. And people saying, oh, I wonder how that happened. The reason is the Conservatives did it. The Conservative Party have done this. They're not going to change it. And until you start voting for another political party that say they will send illegal immigrants back to country of origin, then it's going to continue. It's going to continue. There is no pushback from the Tories because it's the Tories that did it. Not just the Tories, any one of the other five woke, postmodernist, Marxist political entities, globalist shills, the lot of them, especially at the top levels, will not do anything about it. Unless you move your vote to somebody that says we will send them back, then nothing's going to happen because it's already been signed off by the globalists that are already in these political institutions. And we will just get somebody else. Let's trust as a Remainer. Let's trust a globalist shill.
By the way, the 6 months that we've had, half a year, so far is more than 5 times the amount recorded in 2020 between January to June.
So I don't even know why we're complaining about it anymore. Unless you're prepared to change your vote. We have de facto open immigration. It's just a whole bunch of guys kidding on their refugees coming into the country. And it's not going to be, the human rights thing will not be about our human rights if anything bad happens. The globalists from all 5 parties, the SNP, the Greens, the illiberal Liberals, the Conservatives, and the dopey Biden, Sir Keir Starmer, who's just about to get sacked as well. And I think Fat Teletubby and the SNP's going to go as well for being a nonce party, the Scottish nonce party.
5 times more, and compared to last year, it's been more than double in 6 months' time.
Don't complain about it, Meyer, unless you're prepared to change your vote, and other Conservatives are prepared to stop voting for the Conservatives. It's the Conservatives who done it. I don't know how you want me to dress up. There's not going to be any change. It's the Conservative Party that are allowing this to happen. They've signed up to the Barcelona process. They've signed up to the Union of the Mediterranean and the Barcelona process to allow open borders. So it's the Tories that done it. That's it. It was them that signed up, but every one of the other 4 political parties are going to go along with that. Like, Wee Nippy is not a nationalist. Wee Nippy's a globalist shill. Whether or not she's actually been in Klaus Schwab's leadership programme or if she's just adjacent to it, she's doing exactly the same thing as Boris. Boris and her were in political lockstep on the fact, and she's now not got a referendum. So let's go on to see Wee Nippy's track record, shall we? Let's have a look at what she's done. NHS failure under Humza useless, getting people killed. Wait, you've got to book a time to get into the NHS. That's maybe because she locked everybody in her house for 2 years over a cold. Education, well, I've already gone through education. Failing in maths, failing in science, failing in English. So again, failing all over the place. Highest drug deaths in Europe, so she's killing off her own people. Same with alcohol addiction. Killing off her own people, importing a different demographic, and which is illegal under the genocide rules. So she might be up on those rules as well. Worst deficit, so we've got an increasing deficit. Well, if you lock people in your house for 2 years and then blame it on Brexit, I would suggest that it was the fact that you've locked everybody in your house. That's what's causing it. Next World Freedom Rally, is it? Yeah, well, definitely go, mate. Definitely go. Danny Thompson. So she's got the highest drug deaths, highest alcohol deaths, worst record. Now you've got to book an appointment to get to your NHS casualty under Humza useless. We've got the highest number of COVID deaths, where she's put people with COVID in nursing homes and killed them off increasingly. And then you've also got the fact that during a pandemic, she invited people in to the Nike thing. I think it was Nike, the alleged Nike conference that spread COVID that she did And during the COVID pandemic, she held international talks with people flying in their personal jets, globalist shills, to actually tell us how we should be living our lives and decreasing our carbon footprint, which is now causing it in Poland and the great farmers in Poland and in Netherlands. And this has all been done by the globalists and Nippy and it's important that you rewire your brain. Nippy, the doughball in Wales, who's the First Minister, the head of the Welsh nationalists, the head of Labour and the cohorts around them, the illiberal liberals who's got the Nazi pride the fascist racial pride flag up on their Twitter. That's the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats for you. And then you've got the con socialists who are also following a woke agenda which is Marxist in its origins. Every one of them has come out of the Charles Schwab, including the twat that's the PM of the Netherlands, including the twat who's bullying his own people in Canada, including Horsey Face in New Zealand. All out of Dr. Evil Klaus Schwab's. You couldn't write it, Klaus Schwab School. And you need to stop voting for them. And not only that, under dopey Joe Biden with his crack smoking son, who's doing allegedly, well, I don't even know what he's doing, illegal deals with him as the president, who's obviously compromised, where the Biden sent 39 billion pounds to Ukraine, where he had some sort of illicit dealings, getting somebody sacked who was going to somebody in the Ukrainian judiciary who was looking into the nefarious Biden assets that were held in Ukraine, and he was holding back aid to the Ukraine, but now they've given them £39 billion under his dopey president. Why he's not done a cognitive test, I don't know. So we've got an increase in crime. SNP investigations by our police force seem to be politically led. Manny Singh, the Guy Murray, anybody, Alex Salmond. So we Nippy, the alleged lesbian misandrist who is throwing things at our French diplomatic girlfriend, is also now causing it. Oh, he can't stand listening to her. Cannot stand listening to her. I'm surprised MD's is voting for her. Billions missing, so we've got billions of money going missing. The first thing, people get asked what they should do in day one when they go into a new office. The first thing they should do is find out where the missing millions are, have forensic public sector accountants and find out where the money's gone. We already know that the police haven't investigated 600,000 from the SNP, so we've got a politicised police force, which I'll go into in a minute. Hate and social division. Well, that's Humza useless, the Islamo-fascist and member of a child rapist death cult, causing social divisions by, oh, it's rules for me but not for you. We've got an increase in crime. Ferry, millions and millions of pounds on the ferry fiasco. The railway getting nationalised. Railway actual links are now getting cut. It was fine the way it was, but this is ideologically done by these Dunlaps. I want to get back under my ownership. And then I'll make an arse of it. Scottish census has not been properly conducted by Angus Robertson. And so we don't know how many people are in the country. We don't know how to allocate resources. We don't know how to actually do certain things. This is the first time a Scottish census has gone pear-shaped. And he's done it, and we don't have a way of actually finding out who's who and what's what in this country. And we've got embassies now, just now, what a waste of money. Embassies, and she's wanting to rejoin the undemocratic EU. I mean, really, honestly. Let's see. Let's put this up. Let's copy and paste this in here. Where are we? And let's see this. Whoa. Is that me? 10 guys watching. Well, let's see what Michael's saying. So we're just swapping one globalist shill for another globalist shill. So let's see what Michael's saying.
Well, look, I know a lot of you feel very upset and furious that Boris Johnson's government weren't tougher.
But Boris' government did nothing. He was the most inept, do-nothing minister I've ever seen. It's just one individual, like May, like Cameron. They don't do anything. They've not got a political agenda. Oh, it's okay climbing up the political pole, which is all very well, just like wee Nippy. But when you get there, I don't have a... Well, Nippy does have a globalist, postmodernist, Marxist agenda, which doesn't suit any of them.
When it comes to our relationship with the EU and completing Brexit, I mean, I've been talking about and questioning why the government didn't trigger Article 16 months and months and months ago.
Because he's part of Klaus Schwab's controlled by the Bilderberg Group and Klaus Schwab. He's not answerable to the British public.
Back when Lord Frost was still the Brexit minister, instead there seemed to be endless meetings that went...
So is Frost. See, I don't know. Everybody's waxing lyrical about Frost. I don't know about Frost, if he's a good, bad or indifferent. I've not got an understanding of his politics just now.
Absolutely nowhere. It seemed bonkers to me that we handed the French millions and millions of pounds to stop illegal migrant boat crossings, and in return the crossings actually increased. In my view, we should have started to revoke French fishing licences.
No, what we have to do is get them, when they arrive here, we get them, DNA test them and send them back to country of origin. Or as close to get it.
Embarrass Macron's government.
It's not our fault if they go to another country and they've illegally come here. They're coming here illegally because they can, and they've been told to by the corporate, the globalist and the actual political parties. Every one of the political parties has signed us up to this. And it's not going to stop. They have signed us up to the Barcelona, and they won't stop it. If you're thinking, I'll just change my vote from Conservative to Labour, and they might stop it. None of them are going to stop it. Every one of these political parties are globalist shell parties, and they will eventually, through mass immigration, ethnically cleanse our population out of our own country because of this being deliberately done by the globalists and Herr Schwab.
To France, and of course we should be leaving the ECHR to get a proper...
They're not going to do that either. They set this up, the Conservatives set this up so that they don't have to take responsibility. Oh, it's them over there. But you set it up, Conservative Party. Oh, no, it wasn't me. Oh, well, change. Don't worry, we'll send them to Rwanda. Send them to Nigeria. Not one person's been sent anywhere, as I told you, because you're voting for people who've caused it. It's like having an arsonist in charge of the fire department. The Conservative caused it. It's not going to change. They're doing it.
Handle on illegal migration. Now, of course, the Tory membership will be given a choice of two.
Yeah, but that'll already been whittled down by the party. So the party is then deciding which globalist shill or what. Oh, he's far right. Oh, look how far right Boris is, and he's saying that woke's great. Woke's a Marxist concept. And he's deliberately, as I said before this even started, he was wanting to give amnesties to illegal immigrants, and him and Priti Patel, I'm really tough on immigration, and more people are coming in, nobody's been deported. So let's stop the bullshit. Let's just stop the bullshit, because they're not going to do anything. We have de facto got an open immigration policy thanks to the scumbags in the Conservative Party, not just them, the Liberals, the SNP, every one of these scumbags in the Westminster. Not one of them is going to change it if you're looking for a change. So it's about time you smell the coffee as a voter.
Candidates as to who they want to back as the next Conservative leader. And so the situation you've got where some in Brussels, it seems, pretty chuffed that Boris is out the way, that might be a bit premature.
Well, I mean, Big Nose Sunak, the midget Mr. Magoo. I mean, I'll go through how bad the choices we're going to have in a minute.
Of course, we could end up with a Remainer PM. We could also end up with a Brexiteer who is actually more robust on these issues, on dealing with the EU. And so as Joe Barnes points out, Guy Verhofstadt being one, saying, I think he may have missed out a few names on the list of Tories.
Things can only get better. Joe Barnes, Guy Verhofstadt said on the UK-EU relations, think he may have missed a few names on the list of Tories vying to replace as PM. Boris' reign ends in disgrace, just like his friend Donald Trump, says the bitch. It says Klaus Schwab's bitch in the EU. The end of the era of transatlantic populism. I don't think so. I'd say it's just the start. And anyway, Herr Flick, I don't think you should be talking about anybody. You've already started 2 world wars, you bunch of doughballs. And now we've got Dr. Evil. Where's my cat? Where's my cat? Doing things and underneath the backs of the European people. Again, some other German megalomaniac.
Vying to replace Boris Johnson as PM with his claim that things can only get better. Joe Barnes also saying another one of the EU's former Brexit flames drastically misreading the situation, saying many of the candidates to replace Boris Johnson are much, much tougher on EU relations than the current PM was. So it does appear that both Barnier and Verhofstadt getting a little bit carried away there. It's understandable, I guess. Many in Brussels would be keen to see Boris out the way. I'm sure they were much more cosy and comfortable with Theresa May, who just rolled over in the negotiations with her team.
We need strong women, we need women. I'll just roll over. But she was another shill for the globalists as well. Civil servants hold remain bias and stop plans to ditch EU legislation, say Attorney General.
Certainly there is a possibility, at least, of a Brexiteer coming in who is actually a lot more robust.
They keep saying that these guys are Brexiteers and, I'm really tough. And then they come in and they don't do anything. So I actually think that this is just a sort of front by the media. They sort of gaslight you. This person's really what they call right-wing. But it's not even right-wing. It could be a libertarian liberal or a centrist. I'll come into Steve Baker in a minute, who I think's also equally illegitimate. But they keep saying, he's going to be tough. Boris was meant to be a populist. Well, not even a populist, but Boris turned out to be a student politician like Wee Nippy. Wee Nippy and Bojo's, if you take away the fact that one's a unionist, one's a nationalist. I'm saying nationalist, but Nippy's not even going to get a referendum. All that Nippy's got is some method of distracting the nationalist base from her disastrous tenure as a politician.
As I said, on matters in terms of dealing with the EU. So it does seem to me that this sort of tone and comments from the likes of Guy Verhofstadt is a little premature. Let me know what you make of what Guy Verhofstadt and Michel Barnier had to say there.
And if you haven't signed up to Michael Haver as well, sign up. He's a good guy. He does some stuff on GB News as well. Nice fellow, Michael Haver, Heaver. So, let's go back to Twitter. What are these characters saying? I've got tons of likes, man. They're all loving me just now. Nippy's record in government, they're all loving that. Bisexuality isn't real. I love June. June is my wee pal. She doesn't know it yet. Here's June. Now, June's bisexual, I think, or has interests in other women. I wish I had known that a lot of women were bisexual, and that would have explained a lot of things when I was a lot younger. If I'd known that women were largely into sometimes other women, it would probably have given me a different take on the whole dating aspirations and what women were actually doing.
Identity politics are the bane of my existence. Nobody cares what your sexuality is. Nobody cares what your gender is.
Except the illiberal, undemocratic Democrats. Do you really care?
Shut the hell up. Nobody cares. Focus on the real issues.
Yeah. Like globalists. The globalist June. Tell us about the globalists. Now go and follow June as well. June's lovely. June is like and I'm talking about from a political point of view, June is the same as Joe Rogan. And they are probably centre-left libertarians, although June's done a political compass test, she's almost bloody Antifa. But June is a lovely girl, nice policies, looks beautiful, stunning. So, although she is a wacky communist in a certain type of way, she's still red, white and blue a wee bit. But anyway, so that's good. Let's just make sure we're in here. Oh. So the liberal undead. We're in to make sure we're all on side here, and we're all. I'll set this up.
Drastically misreading the situation.
Oh yes. So fantastic. Let's go back to this. So there's a wee shout out for June. Oh, here we go. Here we go. The Scottish Nonce Party. So don't forget, everybody knows that Nicola Sturgeon. Everybody knows that Nicola Sturgeon is a lesbian. So if you actually start to look around, it's like a party for Bennett's. Bennett's now, people in Scotland, even throughout Scotland, Bennett's was a gay nightclub. I used to go to it on a Tuesday night, which was straight night, but it was a gay nightclub. I have gone another night, so I'm certainly not homophobic, but wee Nippy has surrounded herself by homosexuals, allegedly being one herself and married to one as well, allegedly. So this is why I came up with the correct terminology, the gay mafia, and this is what she's surrounded, not produced any children either.
Staffer who was sexually harassed by the MP Patrick Grady says he's been threatened with
Apparently he was trying to finger his bottom. I mean, that's some terrible stuff.
Disciplinary action after he sent an all-staff email.
Doesn't look too comfortable cuddling that woman, does he? Oh, he's got a wee hooped earring.
Criticising the party's response to the issue. The young man who wishes...
Oh, there's another gay gentleman. And I'm not sure if this is another gay gentleman. I think you would need to have some sort of... If we're going to have some sort of proportionality in the House of Commons, I think we have to know how many homosexuals and how many paedophiles there are as well in the House of Commons and like Westminster as well, because it might be disproportionate numbers.
Wishes to remain anonymous, told the BBC it was the only way he could communicate as he felt.
This is aggressive homosexuality onto people who are not homosexual. So obviously that could lead to violence, and then they complain against it. You know, they say, "Oh, it's beat up." Well, stop being aggressively homosexual to people who are not.
He was being ignored. Mr. Grady is said to have stepped away from his party membership.
Well.
Staffer who was sexually harassed by the MP Patrick Grady says he's been threatened with disciplinary action after... So
they're now, because obviously Nippy's part of that gay mafia, that she's the lead lesbian in the gay mafia in the SNP, the Scottish Nonce Party. I'll show you that in a minute.
He sent an all-staff email criticising the party's response to the issue. The young man who wishes to remain anonymous told the BBC...
And all the women look like lesbians as well, don't they? If you look at them, like Alison Thewlis, she looks like a complete lesbian feminist, doesn't she? Angry, quite nasty individual.
It was the only way he could communicate as he felt he was being ignored. Mr. Grady is said to...
Like, there's Alison Thewlis looking like an angry lesbian down there. Look at her.
Have stepped away from his party membership.
She's one of these women who, probably like Joanna Cherry, hate men as well. That's all I'm telling you. I would like to know what the sexuality and proportionality was of all of the SNP members.
Staffer who was sexually harassed by the MP Patrick Grady.
So, what are we doing? Are we on this? Oh no, we're not. There's PJW there. If you're not signed up to Paul Joseph Watson's, brilliant. Of course, this obnoxious narcissist was given a medal. Oh, look, there's another lesbo. Oh, I want your money as well. I want your money because I deserve it. So the guys, the absolute gimps in the American football team have said to the lesbian here that. Yeah, she's made a big to-do. I want your money as well. I want your money. I deserve it. Now the guys who are earning much more money playing football than the women are, said that they are going to take half the money. So the guys that then play get paid more because there's obviously it's a greater spectator sport than the women's game. the American Association, which is de facto communism, has said to the guys, you have to give up whatever proportion of your money to the women to make it fair. So that's not about independence or independent work. So I don't know if female porn stars are going to have to give up half their money to male porn stars, because it seems that it's every time that it suits somebody else. That's what they're talking about, equality. It's not equality in the fact that equal opportunity. It's I want your stuff when it suits me, and I'll take your stuff. But when it's 50-50 and the other way around, no, it's female supremacy. Ah, right, I see. So we've got Dough Ball here with the dodgy hair. Carry on. Don't sniff her hair, Joe. Where am I? Who are you? Are you my wife? What age are you? Too old. Have you seen the pictures of my crack smoking son in the flotation tank? Allegedly. Is that Head and Shoulders? When's he doing his senility test? When's Dough Ball, and he's another globalist shill as well, let's not forget that. So here we go. Chase 18 was placed at Cambridge, held for EasyJet bomb hope. So was he? Oh, well, that's good, aye. That's nice. So I'm going to blow this plane up. I'm a Taliban. British teenager Abitaya Vermin joked with friends, bringing the private Snapchat whilst travelling to Menorca on holiday. He now faces criminal convictions and 86,000 bill from Spanish authorities. Oh, really? Oh, that's good. Dan Wooten is the first class. Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. So, a number of migrants crossing the channel between 20,000, tops 13,000, because it's been deliberately done. It's all guys as well, all just men. Look at Dough Ball.
The last few days was
look at thin lips
not
lesbian.
leading an effective or properly
That is absolute cheek coming from you. Absolute cheek. You have been the worst First Minister ever.
Functioning government. He was lurching from crisis to crisis.
Oh my God. See, what they do is they project what the globalists do. They tell you things that are going to happen before it happens to prep you, and then they said, oh, did they actually say that? To kid on that's not a conspiracy. She's actually projecting everything about her time in office. Listen to her carefully.
Boris Johnson, even before
Nicola Sturgeon,
the last few days,
was
not leading
an
effective or
properly
functioning government. Effective or properly
an effective or properly functioning government. That's her. Everything that she's just said is about her.
Functioning government. He was lurching.
She was lurching
from crisis to crisis.
From the ferries to everything has been one crisis after another. Nippy.
Self-imposed crisis.
Everything. This is her talking about herself.
Self-imposed crisis. You know, Boris Johnson has always, in my view, been manifestly unfit for the office of Prime Minister.
Just talked about herself again. Manifestly unfit. I don't know, I can't remember. Wasn't me? Somebody else? Oh no, oh, what's happening? Manifestly unfit. Nippy.
The Tories allowed him to be elected as...
The SNP allowed this postmodernist Marxist globalist shill to be elected, man-hating, lesbian kid manifesting as a heterosexual
leader, and they have sustained...
Feminist, man-hating woman. Carry on.
Sustained him in that office for much longer than they should have.
Sustained her in her office much longer than she should have. When Anne told you to get rid of her last time, they should have got rid of her.
Now, is it ideal at a time when so many challenges
Is it ideal that Nicola Sturgeon is in office with so many challenges and so many things she's acutely failed on?
Confront the UK and indeed the world for this
woman who is unfit to be... I'm not saying all women are unfit. This woman is unfit because of her political ideology, not because she's got a vagina, not because she's a lesbo kidding on she's a heterosexual. The fact that she is unfit to hold public office because she can't do her job.
Chaos to be unfolding. Of course it's not. But that underlines how completely ineffective, self-obsessed and
how completely ineffective and self-obsessed Nicola Sturgeon is.
And selfish the Conservative...
And selfish. Where's your kids, Nicola?
Party are and have increasingly become.
Which the SNP have become a nonce party and increasingly become.
Boris Johnson, even before...
I don't know if I'm in the right place. Oh, hey, Paul Hutchins, where's Paul Hutchins? Why does nobody like us? And why does nobody like us? The wee rat face ferret said. Why does nobody like us in the Daily Record or Labour? Why is that? Why is everybody? Why are we only 1% ahead of 1% ahead of the Conservatives? Think. Ahmed, child rapist, Webb threats to throw acid on love rival, Osanya perverting the course of justice. Now I'm about to have a situation, but I'll go through my situation, which will make it even more interesting for you. Vaz, rent boy and cocaine, Hill, sexual harassment, Devine fraud, Chartley fraud, Morel fraud, Isling fraud, the irony of Labour screaming sleaze and corruption. Look at these crackers, man. Oh, they're doing such a great job. Diversity works, guys. It definitely works. Well done, guys. Doing a great job. So there we've got, oh, look. And Sir Keir Starmer might be the next clown to go. I think he's going to get fined, and let's see if he falls upon his sword. So you can fact check this. Sir Keir was involved in the Jimmy Savile cover-up on the Trilateral Commission, globalist entity backed by Dr. Evil Klaus Schwab, with Jeffrey Epstein allegedly covered up the mass rapes of children by Muslims. You might have to do some investigative journalism, Paul Hutchins. Daily rubbish. Oh, there we go. Let's like this. Let's like these. Let's like them. Oh, look, there's Nippy again. So we've got some good stuff coming up on this. Michael Hulenbeck, I think I've pronounced that Beck, predicted that what is going to happen in the Netherlands and the wider European revolt against the technocrats, the globalist shells, shall we call them, green agenda, in his new novel Serotonin. Don't know. Serotonin. That's my dyslexia kicking in. How many of my followers are unvaccinated? I am. Who's this guy? You shout out for her. Queen B. My goodness, beautiful looking girl. She looks like Prince William's wife. So there we go, more WikiLeaks, and here we go. Let's see.
The maximum sentence of
So this is what happens to journalists. They find a way to actually attack journalism. That's what the globalists do.
The hero of our times.
My name is John Shipton. I'm Julian Assange's father.
The maximum sentence of 175 years.
Because he published the truth.
The story is I am attempting to get
years.
Because he published the truth.
I know him. Where's that? Oh, it's Murray. It's the guy Murray, who was put in jail as well. So I'm going to jail as well. So I'm going to be following these guys into jail because of the globalists.
The story is I am attempting to get Julian out of the ship.
In no sane world can this be normalised.
How does it feel to be the father of such a controversial figure?
It's not controversial.
Was that him on the phone before? Yeah.
That's what they try to do. They try to other you, call you names, try and other you, try and push you aside.
It's okay.
What are your worst fears?
That it just collapses.
If Julian is extradited,
Free Julian.
he will be the first,
Free the press.
but not the last.
Free us all.
What's at stake? If he goes down, so will journalism.
So that's right. So we're already seeing dopey Joe Biden attack on the fundamentals of freedom and trying to that stupid, what's her name, AOC, Doughball in chief, trying to undermine the judiciary in the United States. So let's not kid on that they're not the architects of their own fascism. As we all know, the fascism comes from the left. Sturgeon's unisex haircut, definitely lesbo. Serotonin, sorry. Yes, thank you, that's great. Dan, if my dyslexia had been identified at school, which I probably, and you can check this out, helped thousands of children in the Scottish education system with what I did for specific learning difficulties, that I would probably be in a lot better situation than I am now. But anyway, I digress. So, Count Dankula. There's old Danky boy. Bit of free publicity.
Giving everybody another little update on the show. Everything is still going ahead as planned. Fortunately, Boris Johnson resigns. So we don't... the government's far too busy to shut everything down with COVID regulations, which is fucking smashing.
Don't forget Dank and Sargon of Akkad. So these guys have handles. So Count Dankula is his handle, and Sargon of Akkad's Carol Benjamin's handle. But mine was Chad Thundercock, and I'm just glad that never got out as my actual handle, because obviously Chad Thundercock was mine, and when I was playing games as well.
And there are still tickets available for the show. It is £40 for a ticket, and it's happening at the Backyard Comedy Club in London on July the 13th. And they're just letting everyone know there are still tickets available. It's going to be a really good night.
I hope you've all seen Count Dankula noise up the Americans by changing his handle to Justice Dankula, which was absolutely brilliant. The salt. In fact, I'm actually going to give him a wee segue into this as well. Justice Dankula. So I'm going to give this guy a shout out. Because I thought his commentary was there's a few good there's a few good commentaries on this. I always like the guy with the octopuses. I like this fella. I like this guy. He's a great commentator. But there's one in particular who's mad, epic troll. This guy's quite interesting. This guy. So this guy. So
well, for those of you who have been following my channel, you know.
So what is this fella's channel? Let me just get this, because this is quite good. The Stuart Alistair edition.
My saying, a democratic republic is only as strong as its electorate. Well, a man that goes by the name of Count Dankula.
Don't forget, mine's Chad Thundercock.
A master troller proves that point. It's Monday, June 27th, 2022. I'm Stuart Alistair, and this is the evening edition. It all started with this tweet from President Biden. Today is a very solemn moment for the United States. The Supreme Court expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They simply took it away. Mr. President, no, they didn't. That is a bold-faced lie. They did not take it away. They just gave it back to the states. but I digress. That's never been done to a right that is so important to so many Americans. And at that, a man named Count Dankula tweeted, but at the time he retweeted it, he changed his handle, not to Count Dankula, but...
That wouldn't be changing it, boss, but just pointing that out.
...to Justice Dankula. And he tweeted this: "We were careful in our decision, Mr. President." To that, people lost it. Look at this response. Chloe responded, "I don't think you did, though." And he responded back to her, "But we did."
And Americans going to school. I mean, is that a serious point? There must be the really clever Americans. I've worked with Americans, all very clever. But do they do history and things like that? Do they do history about their own history? They seem to think that there's a whole bunch of white guys that stole a bunch of black people because of racism and had slavery. What? Do they go to school? Listen, learning is free.
She really believes that she is tweeting.
It's a great picture of Marcus, though, isn't it?
To a United States Supreme Court justice. Look at this. "And if all of y'all would be careful, you all wouldn't need an abortion." To wit, someone responded, Lisa Katera. She responded, "Is not raping women considered being careful? Ask for..."
He must ask for the girls who've been raped by Muslim rape gangs that have been covered up by both the Liberals, the Conservatives and the Labour Party, especially the Labour Party, who sent round a memo under Gordon Brown to cover it up, no?
Half the population? Also, any advice on how to prevent ectopic pregnancy and miscarriages? We want to be careful in all. You do know that you're talking to a master troller. If
a master troller. I've heard of other sorts of master. We had a headmaster called Headmaster Bainton.
If trolling was a fight, Count Dankula would be like Bruce Lee.
See, I think you don't understand what a Scottish are actually like. I don't think you understand. Count Dankula has been moulded in fire and ice in the deep, dark states of the hillbilly Lanarkshire.
You're defending the babies? What about the children and adults they become?
Yeah, like you, Kate Brown.
Another blue checkmark journalist.
So your journalists don't know who's on the Supreme Court in America, and they think a British comedian is well worth listening to then.
So what do you think that's all about? It's what I just told you.
Unhinged lunacy, no?
A democratic republic is only as strong as its electorate.
That's correct.
These people don't...
That's correct. So if you get a lot of uneducated people being able to be easily manipulated by the media, big tech, and also the political class, then you have and allowing them to import anti-racist training, which is cultural critical race theory, which is based on Marxist principles and Marxist implementers who brought up the critical race theory, who then changed the name to anti-racist. Don't forget that Mussolini was an anarcho-syndicalist, which is de facto Antifa now.
No, that there is no such thing as Justice Dankula. Even the name Justice Dankula, because some of the names are kind of so, odd that you remember them, like Gorsuch. Like I kind of just remembered it just because it's kind of an odd name. Justice Dankula? You've got blue.
I commented. I sent sent Marcus a tweet saying legend. It was the best troll. I thought I was good at trolling. I think Marcus might be outshining this master in the student.
Blue check.
He might be the Sith. He might be trying to kill me.
Journalists really believing they are responding to justice.
I still say I did the best troll, but
Dankula. Look, that person, that very same person who believes that she is responding to a United States Supreme Court just
is mental, shouldn't be holding the position she's in, because if she doesn't know that, it's simple as she's not even checked it. Now, sometimes you can make mistakes, but the fact is that if you're that stupid that you actually thought that, there's some major question marks about if you should be in the position you're in. And if you are in that position, is somebody above you deliberately put you in there because you're a bit thick?
That person has a vote, and her vote counts.
I would be more worried about if she's a person of significance and influence within a major periodical.
Just as much as yours. Look at this from Angela. It's sad that this is who's making decisions for all women. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for making my decisions. My mum keeps complaining and says, that's that Count Dankula making decisions for me again. I'm sick of him. Sick of that silly name. What is a Count Dankula anyway? Said he's the Count of Dankula, which is a place in Lanarkshire, Mum. He's not. And I said he is. His wife's name's Lady Dankula. His place, it's not. And I said, I know, but he keeps making decisions for me when I'm going shopping. I don't want to buy these things. He keeps getting me to buy them. Oh my God, it's just like dumber and dumber.
Justice Dankula.
These are obviously the people that are voting for AOC. Obviously. Not an IQ between them.
Is making decisions for all women. This is your electorate. There was like hundreds.
Thousands, I think. Thousands. Not including the death threats, because obviously Twitter takes seriously threats of death and rape and everything else. I think it takes more seriously threats of misgendering. A bit like the British Police Force.
It's amazing. Look, Kate Brown, one of these blue check marks, ostensibly a journalist.
Yeah, although the National Union of Journalism says that I'm not a journalist, even though I keep getting it right before the papers even actually acknowledge that there's a situation happening in the first place. I continually get it right. If you look back in everything that I've done, I continually get everything I said on the money when it comes to politics before it happens. Before it happens. Told you that he was going to have to resign. He resigned. I told you 6 months ago that he was going to resign. He resigned in 6 months. I precede the game.
You're defending the babies. What about the children and adults they become? What are you talking about? Now, here's the thing about all of this. When you talk to these people, they will tell you, and I used to think that it was disingenuous. I no longer think that. Listen to this woman.
Hey, what about the baby's choice? How do you respond to that?
The baby isn't a human being until it's born.
So we've got another deep brain thinker here. And the question is, there was a flyer going about, is Islam right about women?
It doesn't have any right to make a decision, and if my life is at stake, that's more important. The baby is...
Well, that's true. If your life was more at stake, I don't think anybody's denying that. And also Count Dankula, like myself, is a libertarian liberal. So we're centrist libertarians. So we believe in the women's right to choose probably in the first trimester, and especially in rape cases and things like that. So we believe in that. We don't believe in killing babies just before they're born. That's absolutely disgusting. And that's what some of these characters do. Believe.
Isn't a human being. The baby isn't a human being. The baby isn't a human being until it's born.
So it's not a human being until it's born. I mean, that's disgusting.
So it doesn't have...
And let's sacrifice the babies to Moloch. We've got a declining population in the West. Women are not doing what they require to do, going in dates. Maybe a lot of them are bisexual and want to laze up other women. It seems that's the crux here, promoting homosexuality when we've already got a declining birth rate. Again, deliberately putting in policies to commit a genocide by the decrease in birth rate and then importing another population. This has been deliberately done. You can see it more and more in the advertising. This is a genocide, that's a covert genocide that's happening in the West against the UN's genocide policies, and it's been deliberately done. Well, that's why people are able to walk into the country, and that's why no conservative new member will actually do anything about it, because they are the ones that have done it.
Any right to make a decision, and if my life is at stake, that's more important.
Now, she was quite matter of fact. Well, it's not a human being until it's born, so therefore.
So I'm going to skip a wee bit here.
That people can come to the conclusion that they're talking to a Supreme Court justice named Justice Dankula.
Who's also Scottish.
These are the people who are going to be voting.
They're the ones that elected dopey Joe Biden. These are the ones.
Again,
and the people who, your blue checkmark journalists, are the ones that covered up the fact that his son and him were involved in illegal activities.
Vote counts just as much as yours. That's scary to me.
Yeah, you get Joe Biden.
And shouldn't there be some sort of test? By the way, I am being serious. Shouldn't there be a test as to your knowledge of the issue?
No, what there should be is a tighter ability to vote, because obviously we saw Zuckerberg £400 million for the mobile postal votes, where postal votes could just be put in. You have to tighten up your election process in every county, every state, where you have to show ID, no postal votes unless it's an extreme circumstance. You have to make it an extreme circumstance. That stuffing ballots from 2,000 mules was just absolutely unbelievable, which I already got right again. I'm on the record for saying that this has obviously been fixed. 80 million for a geriatric imbecile who doesn't know if it's New York or New Year.
That are at hand, and whether or not you can actually get it right. Like, for instance, did the president lie in a tweet when he said that these rights were taken away? Because most people are going to tell you, no, it's true. They took away a right, a constitutional right. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives you the right to an abortion. Nothing. Even Ruth.
But again, we've got a declining population in the West, so we're having to import people because women aren't having enough children. If you're not having 3 or more children, we've got a declining birth rate, and that now we're importing people to actually ethnically replace us.
Bader Ginsburg knew that.
And if women only find around 20% of guys, that makes it incredibly difficult, especially if women don't go out on dates and don't get to know somebody. You'd have to go on multiple dates to actually find out what you actually thought of somebody.
Look, Salva, this guy is in the Supreme Court. Now I understand the stupid decision more. That person really believes that Justice Dankula is sitting on the Supreme Court. Yes, he is. I mean, this is your electorate. Now, maybe some of these people are not from the United States. The woman I just showed you clearly is, and I think most of these people are. These people are voting, and they are completely clueless. That's scary to me. Davi, how is this app free, bro? This is the funniest troll ever. Everyone thinking he is an actual Supreme Court judge, even many check marks trying to challenge him, bro. Yes, people that you would think would know don't. They think,
and who have been given positions to be journalists. Yeah, they don't seem to know their ass from their elbow.
There is a Justice Dankula. All right, to make a selfish plug for my merch, you can check it out at my store. And here are some of the things that I've created so far. Do something heroic, and you should.
So that's a wee plug for Alistair there. Good, very well spoken as well. Really nice commentary there. So, what have we got? Are you guys saying anything? No, see again. Oh, no, yeah. We're talking here. Same with me, a 50-year-old just diagnosed with ADHD. Have you, mate? I get ADD. Yeah, it's disgraceful. Laughing like Dank, master of disguise on his Twitter profile. It was brilliant. Absolutely legendary. So funny. Dank legit just saw two justices fall on bumming each other in an alleyway in the middle of Glasgow. That's fucking city, man. Laugh out loud, you wee belter. Snub to Twitter, mate. Like, here we go. There we go. We've got this other idiot.
Is there a voicemail of the president talking to his son about his overseas...
Look at her attitude. Look at her smug attitude.
Business dealings.
She's a black lesbian, don't you know? Shame she's not confident.
The president has said he's never spoken to his son about his overseas business dealings.
Well, first I'll say that what the president said stands.
I'm not corrupt. I'm not the big guy that's taking bribes from overseas through my crack smoking son.
So if that's what the president said, that is what stands. And secondly,
oh, does it? Oh, well, if that's what the president said, it must be gospel. Whoa, look at that. Yeah, he's my baby.
A voicemail about a New York Times article.
But secondly,
where's the crack pipe?
Concerning Hunter Biden's business dealings, and
Peter,
he says,
10% to the big man. Who's the big man?
I think you're clear.
Why did the press cover it up before the last election?
Clear.
Did Zuckerberg actually pay £400 million to actually have 2,000 mules stuffed pallets through set up postal boxes so they could corrupt the political process to get a guy who was quite clearly had mental deficiencies, and number 10, who's made a disastrous job for the last 2 years? Has Zuckerberg got to be held accountable?
How is that not him talking to his son about his overseas business dealings?
We're not, from this podium, I am not going to talk about alleged...
oh no, we're not going to talk about alleged, no. We already said, the FBI have already said that it's definitely his laptop with pictures of him floating about smoking a crack pipe. Now, what somebody does in a recreational time is none of my business, but I mean, but being corrupt and taking money, 10% to the big guy, is maybe Joe forgot about it because he doesn't seem to know if it's New York or New Year.
Materials from the laptop.
So are you disputing the president's voice on the voicemail?
I am not going to talk about alleged materials on the...
Oh, it's not alleged. The FBI have confirmed that it was definitely his. So it's not alleged. Alleged means it's not his. So the FBI have confirmed it is his. So you're using the wrong alleged. I don't know if Nicola Sturgeon is de facto a lesbian. So I have to use the word alleged because she's obviously allegedly in a sham marriage with another guy who's a homosexual which we all know that wee nippy Nicola Sturgeon is not actually a nationalist, and she's actually a globalist shill, and she's actually using this referendum as a kid on to smokescreen the fact that she's been a disastrous First Minister because she is a globalist shill and she's following a postmodernist Marxist doctrine. Right, I see.
Laptop.
But that doesn't mean that you can lie. So where's the impeachment? I think the impeachment will come post November, because you're obviously going to lose everything, the Senate and everything's going to go by November.
Not happening.
Then that it is not.
Peter, I refer you to his.
I refer you to the job centre, where you can get a job that's appropriate to your abilities, because this isn't one of them.
His son's representative.
But don't worry, we'll be looking at the Conservative leadership competition, and we'll see others.
I'm ultra mega, and you're ultra mega.
I'm the mega maga.
I'll ultra mega you.
I'll maga you. I can't wait to talk to Russell now. I'm getting quite excited. You'll be getting magged.
So hard.
Is there a...
Don't think so, Russell. I might go and actually watch Russell. I think he's actually been red-pilled. If he wasn't a commie, I think he's been red-pilled. Let's go. Here's beautiful June. Shoe on head if you're looking for her. Oh, here we go. Look.
Two Labour.
Oh, yes. I have to give a big shout out. I don't understand how he's so good at Scottish politics, but that Preston journalist, I think it is. Let me just get this wrong. That Preston journalist. So I'm giving you a wee heads up for this young gentleman. Nice young fella.
Two Labour.
Let me just get this correct. That Preston journalist, yeah, and he's very good in Scottish politics. Don't know why he's so good in Scottish politics, but he certainly gets the nail on the head.
He's facing deselection before the next election.
Another two. Oh, I wonder why nobody's voting for the corrupt Labour Party.
So this is quite interesting, and it's not quite as democratic as it seems. So the first one is Asma Begum. If you remember her, she's the one that was taken to court, accused of ripping the council off and claiming benefits and all sorts of stuff, when in actual fact she was earning plenty of money as an MP. Now,
she was claiming benefits, and I mean that's the height of ingratitude, isn't it? Is that not the height of ingratitude?
10 out of 10 wards in her constituency have voted against her and want her deselected. The second one is Sam Tarry. 6 out of 7 wards in his constituency have voted against him. Sam Tarry is the one who, unashamedly, just like Asma Begum, have said they want to rejoin the EU as soon as possible.
So you've got to understand that every one of the mainstream political parties is a globalist shill party, and you have to move your vote to somebody who's saying, UKIP are even saying it, I'm not sure about UK reform, you have to move your vote to a political party that's saying they will deport people who are illegal immigrants, stop the boat people coming over, and start to do certain things. None of the Conservative Party are the cause of this, as well as the Labour Party, as well as the SNP. None of these these are all globalist shill parties under the direction of Klaus Schwab. Once you get it through your head to actually switch your vote to somebody else, only at that point will that make a difference, because it's going to get worse and worse if you can maintain to vote for any of the 5 main political parties. What am I looking for here? Oh, subbed to your Twitter, mate. Thank you very much, buddy. Thanks, Danny. I wouldn't sub to the... I would make sure, Danny, if you're going to do that you actually make sure that you watch the Guerilla TV. So it's www.guerillatvchannel.com and sub to that, buddy, rather than anything else. So...
both are very poor MPs anyway. What will happen...
So... nice fella, that Preston. I'm wishing you the fella's name as well. But good political commentary on Scotland. I don't know if he's just a unionist but he's got from a journalistic point of view, objective criticism, he's very good on his analysis of Scottish politics. So I don't know why. I don't know if he's part Scottish or if he's just a good journalist, but he seems to have his finger on the pulse about what's happened in Scotland as well. Here we go. Here's my man there. And if you haven't subscribed to PJW, obviously a legend.
Let's check in on how the
I've been in that room. See, I'll tell you, I actually get freaked out in this room. Not the fact I was amongst greatness, but looking at this map, when you're actually in this room and you see this map is much smaller and PJW is huge, right? So it's almost trippy in the fact that this map is actually smaller. So it's a smaller map. So he's sitting close to it. And the PJW, he's a lovely fella as well, very hospitable, is actually huge. He's very tall. So you almost get a sort of delusionary effect of the map looks big in this, but it's actually smaller. And PJW, who looks like me, just a normal average guy, is absolutely massive. But 12 feet tall.
general public is reacting to the liberal world order. The liberal world order. Net zero.
Now, the liberal world order is not liberal. This is another play in words, just like the Scottish National Party is a play in words because they're now under Nippy, they're a globalist, postmodernist, Marxist party. So you have to understand the underlying politics. The underlying politics of the globalist cabal is postmodernist Marxism. It's not liberalism. I'm a liberal, a libertarian liberal. I think probably PJW is a libertarian liberal, but they're trying to dirty up the words liberal and libertarian, but they're not liberal and they're not libertarian.
Climate change cuts.
The globalists, not PJW.
The green agenda. What are we saying? Good thing? Bad thing?
Libertarian liberalism and classical liberalism is the same. Authoritarian liberalism or postmodernist Marxist globalist Schillerism and what they call neoliberalism is the same. But they're not liberals, they're communists. Klaus Schwab has a bust of Lenin on his shelf. So this is the fantastic farmers guys who's been supplying us all with food and they're trying to destroy these lovely fellas over in the Netherlands.
Seems pretty.
So this is direct policies by Dr. Evil Klaus Schwab, who got Turdo in Canada, who got Horsey Face in New Zealand, who got Boris, I think Boris is part of this, who wee Nippy, because she's a globalist wee lesbian shill, is wanting to sign us up to, and they're trying to reduce the ability for us to produce food because of their, it's global warming. Nothing about global warming. If CO2 emissions is the main problem, then nothing about the CO2 emissions is going to change until China, America and India do something about the CO2. Nothing in Europe is causing that much CO2, even if it is a collective, comparative to the rest of India, China and America. So unless we might as well get those Greenpeace guys to go over there. So we should just start to buy them tickets, one-way tickets, over to China, over to India, over to America, and get them to do something about it. Because this nitrogen stuff is not going to make any difference whatsoever. All it's going to do is disrupt the European supply chain and make us starve, which is what Dr. Evil, the one villain is wanting us to do.
Unanimous. The Netherlands, Yellow Vests 2.0. But what's the beef? Well, it turns out...
So you have to understand that the next Conservative Party leader will be shit as well, and the reason he'll be shit is because all of them are in cahoots with Klaus Schwab. So we might be swapping chairs in the Titanic, but because all of them look to, and even the royal family are connected to Schwab, that all of these are looking for a disruption in our food chain, while at the same time allowing open immigration.
That Dutch farmers aren't too pleased about climate change technocrats passing laws which will completely destroy their livelihoods. The government plans to restrict nitrogen and ammonia emissions by at least 50% by 2030. Problem being, fertilizers contain a large amount of nitrogen oxide and livestock produce ammonia in their urine and feces.
So rather than planting more trees, we've got plenty of room, parks, everything else we could plant more trees on. Rather than plant more trees and diversify the species of trees and whatever else, where we've got to stop our own beef and food manufacturing to eat bugs. And that's what this has been decided at the COP. All of these politicians have signed us up, and they haven't signed us up with the consent of the people. They've sat around like the mafia and said, "Oh, we're going to do this to you, and you're not going to have any say on it. We're just going to unravel it as it goes along. And you might look like you're winning because a right winger or far right is going to do something. A populist is going to do something when he gets into power in the Conservative Party, but he'll be hamstrung like every other Prime Minister. We'll hamstring him so he won't be able to do what he's meant to do."
Result, farmers will be forced to cull 30% of their livestock, putting many of them out of business forever. Highlighting how this is a selective attack, the same regulations won't be applied to the airline industry. Still, at least the farmers are finding a use for all that unwanted feces by spraying it on government buildings.
Let's go! In the middle of a railroad track.
And that's definitely what you're doing. I apologise to Paul just now for using. I don't like to completely use all of somebody else's thing, but this is brilliant. Go and sign up to Paul anyway. He's a great guy, lovely fella.
Tractors are also being used to block food distribution centres, sending a message to the government about what happened.
So that's that's what happened under communism. So this is exactly the same. Although it's the farmers who are doing this just now, because they're trying to enforce a communist ideals. That's why I asked Baldy Lenin, what's his face, wee gay Lenin, if he was a communist, because this is the future that they've got for us.
Happens when you fuck.
Oh, it's only CO2s. If the globe is moving in a different orbit, this is potentially why the world is heating up, and nothing to do with CO2. And if you want to affect CO2, go out and plant a tree.
With farmers. Some farmers even brought their cows to the...
Or go and terraform the Sahara.
The Dutch Parliament threatening to slaughter them on the streets. Fishermen have also joined the cause blocking ports. Farmers in Italy have also begun their nascent...
So good luck to them as well.
...rebellion threatening to take their...
So that's great, and it's happening under every one of the globalist shell political parties throughout Europe. The average man and woman. This isn't left versus right. This is the individual versus the globalist technocrats. This is what this is.
Practice to Rome. They're joined by Polish farmers who are also marching in the...
And this is the problem with Bojo getting kicked out because he was a globalist shill, didn't do what he should have done. Boris Johnson could be one of the great prime ministers had he actually done. He got an 80-seat majority. Had he done what he could have done or should have done, he could have been as brutal in kicking people the globalists out of the party, and then actually low taxation, high growth, and he didn't do that. He locked us in for 2 years. Fuck him.
Streets, but authorities in the Netherlands have responded by telling demonstrators to go whistle. And just like Trudeau did in Canada, demonising them as extremists.
So don't forget, I've been called all sorts in the papers as well. They do it to dehumanise you. They do it deliberately to dehumanise you. Now, I'm broad enough to actually take it on the chin, but let's not forget what they're actually, the underlying disgusting things they're trying to do.
Culminating in an incident earlier this week where police fired live rounds at protesters in their tractors.
That's terrible. So the police are shooting at innocent civilians in the Netherlands under... let's have a look at this. Absolutely, honestly, I'm getting angrier by the second about talking about these characters. Something. What's going on? So.
Seeking to the release of electronic communications, which launched the investigation into President Trump's 2000.
So they're not looking for communications that happened about Joe Biden and his son being corrupt.
2016 campaign. Here's One America's John Hines.
Yes, we're here with Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. And Mr. Fitton, this is a hearing in which you, Judicial Watch, is attempting to get information that has been redacted, which pertains to basically the launching of the counterintelligence investigation of President Trump, former President Trump, his campaign, an email, electronic communications written by the FBI agent, Mr. Strzok, trying to get this information, reveal this information. Talk a little bit about what transpired in this federal district court hearing just a few moments ago.
Well, this is the electronic communication written by Peter Strzok that we documented through the testimony of a former top FBI official, a document that was shady.
Look at that horrible building. Look how ugly that building has been deliberately designed. This is what they do in the universities and actually do the postmodernist, ugly, brutalist architecture. Look how undescript that has been deliberately done as an eyesore on the eye.
It was Peter Strzok, essentially approving Peter Strzok's spy operation against Donald Trump. And, you know, we uncovered...
So I think that's illegal as well. So people should be going to jail for that.
Covered this big document, this electronic communication, had been withheld from the American people for years. And but still, it was heavily redacted. And it's, in our view, they're playing games. They're using the excuses, sources, and methods to keep away key information about why the heck the Obama administration took the extraordinary...
So he's a globalist shill as well. Oh, I'm black, man, I'm black. That makes a difference. It didn't really help. Donald Trump did more for African Americans than he did. Oh, yeah, man, because what he is just a globalist shill as well. He's another Klaus Schwab puppet.
Step of spying on their...
Yeah, my wife's got a penis, man.
Opposition, specifically the Trump campaign and other innocent Americans. What's unusual about this is that it's pretty clear from the document that the spying took place even before it was officially launched by the FBI, specifically the counterintelligence operation.
So this is what we've got to worry about, the big state. This is what's happening. So we've got Wallace and Gromit here. I want to be Prime Minister. Nobody knows what he's a plant from the what do you call him? I can't remember the name of the bank. Let me just get this back. What's his name? Chancellor passed away. Who knows who he was anyway? Sajid Javid, another Bilderberger, declares no prior. So even around Boris Johnson was a whole bunch of corporatist globalists. That was round him. So don't forget, Rishi Sunak has increased taxes exponentially. He's increased the tax burden on everybody across the board. He's making things unprofitable and uneconomic. So he's done it after voting to hold us in our houses for 2 years over a cold. He was usually a brilliant self-promising morale-raising speech to move on from recent woes. It was Michael Gove who confronted him. Well, Michael Gove's always wanted to stick it in Boris's back. He's a slimy little shit as well. Ministers claim to love low taxes, but when spending cuts are suggested to make a low tax economy, they all say, not in my department. Right, I see. So this is the problem that we've got. So they're all just saying, oh, not in my department. You could cut all the large parts of the intake out. He was usually a brilliant self. So here we go. Pakistan, jihadi suicide bomber rams bike into military convoy, injuring 6. You guys saying, let me just check this. I think I've, just give me a second. didn't see that. Honestly. Right, we need. I swear, honestly, I think they actually try and do it deliberately just to annoy me in the middle of my podcast. So, let's go back to PJW.
Cops claimed the protesters were trying to run over the officers, but video shows that that clearly didn't happen.
So they're now shooting at people, not because they're actually running over other people. Had PGW on my radar for ages. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. His name is Ashley. His name is Ashley. What he said. Dankler tweeted. Legit. Sorry, let me just get this. Dankler was a master of disguise on his Twitter profile. It was brilliant. Dankler tweeted, legit, just saw two junkies full on bombing each other in an alley in the middle of Glasgow. That's fucking city, man. Snubbed. Sub to your email, sub to your Twitter, mate. That's great, bud. Will do, bud. His name is Ashley. He has PGW on his radar for ages. Yeah, he's good. So,
Blijf filmen. Kijk, deze gaat ervoor spelen. Nee joh, hey, wapens jongen, wapens! Hey, wallah, rij weg jongen, rij weg! Wapens is daar! Pik je het op film?
Yeah. Despite bullet holes in the tractors, by some miracle no one was injured. And take a look at this prick. Who does he think he is? Fucking Rambo? When BLM protested, Dutch cops took the knee. But when working class people slowly drive their cars at a protest, they get guns pointed in their face.
That's a new world order for you.
They even changed the law so that cops who kill protesters are completely immune from manslaughter charges. Authorities have also allegedly...
What? So if somebody kills a protester, so they're bringing in de facto martial law that you're allowed to kill protesters, but taking a knee to the communist BLM that was set up in America as well. I told you that the globalists are not a liberal party, they're a postmodernist Marxist or Marxist.
Planted agent provocateurs to infiltrate the protests, presumably to both frame them for violence and to spy on activist leaders. Yeah, if these fellas glow any brighter...
Look at these characters.
They're going to outshine the sun. Activists have accused the government of cowing to globalists.
It's just like the feds. That whole bunch of guys in the same outfits running about, look like a bunch of feds.
Climate change policies at the behest of the World Economic Forum. And its infamous leader, the wannabe Bond villain, Klaus Schwab...
There's Dr. Evil there. Look at wee moustache there. Oh, that's who put Angela Merkel, who allowed the mass rapes of German women. There it is, it's his fault. Dr. Evil, him and Soros, Bill Gates.
Oh, Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
We will see.
Oh, another German with a megalomania problem. Oh, that's great. We've not had many of those so far.
Definitively a lot of anger.
Oh, very angry. Oh, the burden.
Schwab's warning about increasing anger seems pretty prescient until you realise it's the globalist control freak green agenda that he fronts that's causing all...
So all of these things that seem weird and unusual are all fronts from the World Economic Forum. All of it comes from them and the Bilderberg Group and other entities who are controlling your lives through our political class. All of them are being controlled not from the bottom up, but from the top down, and by these non-elected entities like Dr. Evil.
All the anger.
A lot of anger.
The Netherlands is one of the largest exporters of meat in the world, and the largest.
So one of the largest exporters of meat is told to slaughter 30% of its cow production by a guy who was trained in the leadership programme with Trudeau and through Dr. Evil.
Just in Europe. Why, when we're in a global food crisis caused by the current thing, are they imposing policies that would jeopardise the food security of hundreds of millions of people? Why is Denmark, Belgium and Germany all considering the same measures? Western governments paying farmers to not produce food? Do they actually want to create a famine? Is this why they're preparing us all to eat bugs?
These are grasshopper kebab.
So through the media, who all go to the World Economic Forum to get their instructions and then tell them who to dislike and who not to like, while at the same time they're allowing cops to shoot unarmed protesters. Same with Trudeau stealing the bank accounts. All of this is coming from Dr. Evil, Klaus Schwab, and you guys are voting for these clowns.
Technocrats order us to get used to energy rationing, limits on hot water, limits on the very temperature at which you're allowed to heat your own home, while Davos elites fresh.
While at the same time, so you can see only 82 million, so it's not that much. So 82 million. So even if you take it, the UK was 82 million throughout that. It was 200 million. So China is now at 10 billion. 10 billion. So even throughout the whole of the UK's CO2 emissions, China is now sitting at 10 billion. So if China, the United States, India and Russia, Japan and Iran don't get a handle on their CO2 emissions, nothing underneath that is going to make the same proportion. You could add the next 10, 20 on together and nothing's going to be the size of actually China. So the fact that we're getting stringent caps put on us by the dough balls in the Green Party, wee Nippy and her stupid ideas, none of it's going to matter, because I was wrong. I said 500 million. This is 10 billion. This is 10 billion. So that's 8 million there. So 600 million would be there. So this is 10 billion. And I said 500 million. To Maggie out of the Green Party, and she's complaining about 47 million cubic tons of CO2 from Scotland, and she's saying, oh, that'll make all the difference. What it'll do is it'll make Scotland poorer by her Marxist agenda, underlying Marxist agenda. So there you go. 2002 now, there's probably been a reduction in that because they've locked us in the house for 2 years. Plant more trees. So we've got the death cult blowing people up in Pakistan again. So 2 men and a woman are to stand trial following a mass protest. No, what they did was a mob prevented the immigration department deporting 2, not refugees, but 2 overstayers, 2 illegal immigrants. So what these guys, who are probably the far left and the Islamists, want to do is prevent the immigration police doing their actual job and deporting illegal immigrants. They weren't refugees, they were illegal overstayers. No close every border, turn back. So there's the great guys there in Italy, I think that's So there's going to be a big revolt. This is not going to be left versus right. They keep saying, oh, left versus right. It's not against that. It's everybody else versus the authoritarians, and that's what it's going to be. It's the libertarians, the people who love liberty, and the average man and woman in the street, not left or right. It's the libertarians versus the wee autocrats, I know what's good for you, I know, we'll do this way. And those types. It's happening all over. And it's hard not to get turned into violence at that point as well. But these people are dictators. They're trying to dictate to you what they're trying to do. How to live your life. Same with Nippy as well. She's the same. So is all the 5 parties in Scotland. 5 main parties. They're all in the authoritarian technocrat side. They've got the police. They've got the media. They've got everybody on their side. So this is the protest in Italy against the globalist cabal as well. So let's see the what's happening in the Scottish Nonce Party. Oh, here we go. Scottish sex-based nonce predators. What sex survey tells about the warped politics of Scottish education? Perverse pupil survey. Don't forget they're trying to bring in critical race theory, calling it anti-racism. Explicit Scottish pupil sex survey. No, not confidential. The invasion of insidious indoctrination. This is the globalists are doing this of our children. Has to stop. Miss Sturgeon. Vile gang. Police Scotland took down large-scale asylum seeker grooming gang in Glasgow, but kept quiet by wee Nippy and the globalist fascists. So Nicola Sturgeon allowed people into the country, allowed them to rape children in care, didn't allow the police to actually properly investigate it, and didn't actually find anybody guilty or hold anybody to account. Obviously Sarwar is a member of the child rapist death cult. SNP failures, poll tax write-offs of 425 million, Prestwick Airport 50 million, Gaelic road signs. Well, to be honest with you, I agree. Gaelic and Welsh are the indigenous languages of the UK. It's not Germanic English. Internal relations 26 million, Gaelic dictionary, that's good, I agree with that. Gaelic is obviously from the Irish part, but it should be Welsh as well. We should actually be learning Welsh. Welsh was like Wallace was Welsh, which is obviously the original Britons. The original Britons were Brittonic, but English is not it's an invasionary. It's like an invasionary language. It's not the indigenous language. Botched NHS IT services, another $250,000. So they're just pocketing this. Oh, $250,000 here, we'll just screw up here. Fergus Marine, 230 million. Gaelic TV, again, I agree with Gaelic TV. I would agree with a Welsh TV service. I would agree with children learning Welsh and Gaelic in all Scottish schools. But it's more appropriate in here than English. English could be the second language. BIFAB 52 million, foreign aid 10 million. Okay, free EU tuition fees 120 million. What? 6 million year unopened hospitals. Named person 61 billion. Another communist ideology there. Harassment inquiry 112,000. Damages 76,000 on coaching witnesses. 800,000 police costs. Full costs won't be released until after the election. Rangers malicious prosecutions 24 million so far, and estimated cost as much as 196 million. Ring fencing 600 indie ref 2. I wish I could see more than that. So there we go. So, but we've now got Nippy, the alleged lesbian, through Fat Teletubby here, actually covering up for the gay aggressive pedo thing. So we've got gay aggressive homosexuals in the Conservative Party that the guy was poking everybody's ass apparently. That the reason that Doughball, what's his face, Boris fell. And you've got this guy who's fingering guys' asses as well, who were heterosexual, and wee Nippy, the alleged lesbian, who allegedly threw an iron at her girlfriend's head in the Balmoral Hotel, is now covering for, and her and the gay mafia and the SNP are now covering for. So aggressive homosexuals, and we only have to look at the Nazi flag of the LGBTQ community to actually see that this is obviously again from the globalist agenda. Guys, I've had enough tonight. I'm off. Hope you enjoy.